Bring that Tommy Hilfiger sweater wearing butt here, boy. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dakota, and it's time for what will be the most roasty review of an album that I've done since the Kim and Dank BOMD2 project. And we're going to review this young man's album. His name is Dylan Scott. Dylan Scott is a country singer who has been signed to Curb Records, who I believe is from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So the internet claims. And Dylan Scott, wow. How did I discover Dylan? Well, I was walking through Walmart, looking at new releases, thinking, what can I review? And I saw this gentleman right here. And I thought, okay, it looks pop, but it's probably country. And sure enough, it is. But, you know, let's talk about who Dylan is signed with, and that is Curb Records. Curb Records is one of the legends, one of the leviathans of labels in country music. Not so much now, but from the mid-90s to the early 2000s, Curb was absolutely essential in mainstream country music. Curb's been in somewhat of a bind, from what I understand, more recently, with music moving to digital format, and them losing Tim McGraw, him jumping ship to go over to Big Machine with Taylor Swift. I don't know how that came about. All I know is it happened. And a lot of their prominent artists in the 90s, just their careers just fizzing out. Curb's had trouble. And apparently, this Dylan Scott character is who they think their next cash cow is going to be. This is who they're placing all their chips on. They think he's going to bring in the dough. This Dylan Scott record, it's not the worst album I've ever heard, but as far as commercially available on a major label, it's the worst album I've ever heard, I think. Definitely the worst country record I've ever heard. We have a few possibilities for the thought process of Curb Records. Okay, one, Curb legitimately thinks that Dylan Scott is a very talented individual. He's a good songwriter, a good vocalist, and that he's going to be the next George Jones. Not likely. Number two, the people at Curb are absolutely insane, and they see that the label that they had, that it was essentially the Titanic, has now hit an iceberg in this new generation, and they figure, well, we're going down. Let's just go ahead and sign this character. What have we got to lose? And number three, which I think is the most plausible one, is that the people at Curb are in a bind, yes, but they're so genius because they sign this no character and charisma having cornball country singer that is such a train wreck. People can't help but get sucked in and watch how bad he is, and that's how they'll rake in the money and garner attention, is by signing someone so bad that the spotlight gets put on them. And at least for me, it's working. I know nothing about this guy. I got the scoop from a buddy of mine whose dad is has ties to the industry, and he's a little bit more up to date on the modern country guys. And I decided to give this album a shot. And the shot it should have been was a bullet to my own brain. Not only is it predictable and flat and uncharming, but it's played out at this point, and this album is incredibly repetitive. A good handful of the songs are written by Dylan Scott, and you can tell he has a style he's very comfortable with. He has some lyrical themes that he's very comfortable with. Most of the songs on this album deal with the same stuff that you're going to get from pretty much any other country singer that is on the radio right now. Football games, and hanging with your girl in your truck, and sipping on something, dancing, and what sets Dylan apart though, in not a good way, not in an ordained of God way, because this is of the devil, this album. He is so much more whiny and so much more simping than other country singers I've heard. He just talks about his heartbreak, and which country singers do that, but he does it in such a whiny, just, dude, grow a pair and get over her. Like, Dylan Scott with this album is essentially the Drake of country music, which I think Drake probably would have sounded better over this album. I think a lot of people would have sounded better than Dylan Scott, probably Travis Scott. There seems to be a pattern with Dylan, especially with his original songs. I'm going to refer to the back of the album here. What happens a lot on this record is he'll sing a song, and he'll have a line in that song. And the song that follows it will be kind of based off a line from the previous song. Like on the opening track, Lay It On Me, which starts out with a big falling 808 and a bunch of people going, "Ho!" like it's a rap battle or something, which is stupid. He talks about, you know, going with his baby, cruising around every part of the town with her. And then in the next song we have the song My Town, where he talks about the town. And then we have Passenger Seat, where he's talking about, maybe I should sell this truck, maybe I should sell this album. But he's talking about, you know, she's not there in the passenger seat anymore. You know, are you in his passenger seat? You in his truck? But then on the next song, My Girl, he's talking about a girl being in his passenger seat. So I feel like Dylan Scott is like, wrote half of these songs, and every other song he would like poke his head out of the recording studio and go, "Hey guys, you know that one song we just recorded where I had that one line where I talked about the thing? Can we take that thing and turn it into another song? We can stick them back to back on the album." He's also a very indecisive person. Oh, she's not in my passenger seat anymore. You in his passenger seat? You got his, you know, you putting your toe prints in his windshield, an actual reference in the song. And in the next song, he talks about, that's my girl in the passenger seat. Dylan, is she there? Is she not there? I think you might be hallucinating. Back begging on your back porch, back knocking on your front door. It's like, are you at the back? You gotta pick a spot where you're gonna beg. Are you gonna do it at the front door or the back door? You're not Captain Kirk. You can't be teleporting. Just Dylan cannot make up his mind. A few things that Dylan has made his mind up about, though, on this album is, one, to use a blatantly fake accent. This accent is horribly fake and forced. This dude supposedly is from Louisiana, and the way he sings on this song, these songs, it's almost like kind of like a Tennessee, Kentucky, maybe North Georgia kind of thing going on. I don't know. You know, and I'm from the South, and I've lived in several different places in the South, so I know accents pretty well. His accent does not sound like someone from Baton Rouge. If you're from Baton Rouge and you think otherwise, let me know. But to me, I'm not buying it. Not since Jay Moore playing Jeff Foxworthy's brother on the Jeff Foxworthy Show have I seen such a poor portrayal of someone from the South. And then you've got moments where he's just pushing notes for the sake of pushing notes, where it sounds like he's having some sort of uncomfortable bowel movement mid-recording. But he gets to the song Ball Cap, which is horrible. Talking about, yeah, baby got her ball cap on. She sure knows how to pull it off. It gets to the song Beer Buddies. And we have the songs Beer Buddies and Freak Show back to back. And Beer Buddies is a love song. But not to a woman. Not to his mama. But it's a bromance ballad. We've had songs like this before in country music. You know, Friends in Low Places. Find Out Who Your Friends Are. But Beer Buddies is on a whole nother level of, this is just a very poppy, and goofy, uncomfortable, homoerotic ballad. You were there when my granddad died, which your granddad dying is not funny. No, that's very sad. Oh, you rubbed me on my back and told me it was all right. You told me raise one. We're gonna drink to him tonight. It's like I think y'all might have made out that night too. Freak Show, which is essentially Dylan Scott's version of Yeah by Usher, where he talks about a very sophisticated woman. She's good enough to bring around the parents. She knows about politics, but once you close the door, she breaks out the saddle, literally. The way this song goes into just things that I didn't want to know about, and being very corny in nature, and the song ending when Dylan leans in and says, "Easy girl, easy." I had probably 4 different kinds of vomit in my mouth after he said that. Hold on. That is probably the most interesting part of the album. But then something very interesting happens, and Dylan gives me a song in this album that I like. Not to say that it redeems the rest of the cesspool of music that precedes it. But it goes from Freak Show into I Lost You, and I Lost You is not the track I'm talking about. You know, again, we're getting some very thought-provoking, deep, multi-metaphorical lyrics such as, it's gonna hurt till it doesn't, it was okay until it wasn't. But it goes from that into the song Living Room, and I am very upset at myself that I am in love with this song. Dylan sounds not phenomenal by any means. I mean, he's no Gene Watson, but he sounds a lot more personable, and he sounds a lot more genuine on this song than he does on the other stuff. Living Room is a beautiful ballad that was not written by him, and I think that's part of why it's a lot more tolerable, is because he did not contribute the corny, unimaginative songwriting. But this song talks about the small apartment that he's in, just contemplating, why did I get rid of my girlfriend? You know, I've got all these things in my apartment, I have all this space, but all this space is making me feel empty too. I have too much living room. Too much living room. Nice little falsetto in here that really makes the song what it is. It was funny, I was joking around with my buddy I mentioned earlier. His name is Donnie, and shout out Donnie. We were joking around, and I told him that listening to this album, I wanted to pull over and just leave my car running and just walk home, and just in hopes that someone would steal my car so I didn't have to listen to this record. Like, they would steal it, they would drive it off a cliff, and I would never have to take this record again. And, you know, we even cracked jokes about if a cop pulled me over and heard me listen to that, I'd be arrested. You know, you have the right to make that CD silent. And you know, he says, you know, you could leave the CD in that car, but the car would be totaled or it would not work right the next day. And I kid you not, I left the CD in my car overnight last week, and the next day my check engine light came on and my car was missing really bad. And you know, it ended up going away, but I blame it on the Dylan Scott CD. Here's the thing, man, I hate to dog anybody, you know, that is being successful and is passionate about, you know, stuff that they're doing. But Dylan Scott, I think, wants to be a country singer because it's in right now. It's very cool right now. I know you got signed, but you got signed to Curb. You got signed to one of the meccas of modern country music. You know, bring me some good stuff. Don't bring me this. You know, that what you're doing with your goofy accent and your big goofy grin and your beard, with your whiny, melodramatic songwriting with corny analogies and bad semi-rapping, I forgot to mention. You know, that might have gotten you some tail back in like a small hometown. Like, if you go out to like Geary, Oklahoma, where there's like 4 or 5 women, you could probably sleep with all of them, based off, you know, if you just had her on the back of your truck and you're talking about how good she looks in your ball cap and, oh, the things I'm gonna do to you, woot woot. But you're in the big leagues now. Granted, you're surrounded by other artists that are like only this much better than you, but you're on Curb and you're in the industry. Don't give me this novelty album as your debut. You know, this is bad. F. It is. I got a track on here that I love, a track on here that I think is pretty decent, and the rest of it just falls by the wayside. Yeah, that's it. So, let me know what else you guys want to see. That's it.